Okay, so hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be working on our exterior door handles on our E53 BMW X5. This covers model ranges from 2000 to 2006. And as you guys can see here, got an exterior door handle that doesn't work on the rear door. And also, this guy on the front driver's door is also broken. So we're gonna go ahead and see if we could fix it. So we have the door card pulled off. Our next step is to get the airbag disconnected and pulled off. But before we do that, it's very important that we disconnect the power source or the battery for the entire car. Primarily because one, you don't want to have the you don't want to have the battery connected while you attempt to disconnect an airbag, any airbag in the car. So whether it's for the doors, A pillars, B pillars, seat belts, any airbag in the car with the battery connected, because if you do run the risk of activating the airbags. They will deploy, and that's going to be a really, really bad day for you. So you don't want to do that. So before you touch any of the connections on the airbags, you want to come back here in the trunk, take the lower cover off, and then underneath you're going to find the air compressor, air lines, and then underneath that is going to be the battery. And the only way to get to this battery is you're going to have four 13 millimeter bolts, or two bolts, two nuts, similar to this. This is the bolt, and then these are the nuts. So, and they go into each of the corners. So one right here, one right here, and then the two nuts come here and here. This nut you do not need to remove, so just leave it alone. Then I'll put you guys back here so you can get a good view of what's going on. So once you get to this stage, you remove all the nuts and the bolts. Just kind of wiggle this thing up. And then you got to be really careful. Just lean it forward like this. It doesn't have to come all the way up. It'll be fine there. Then once you get to this point, you'll have the battery exposed. You'll have two 10 millimeter nuts on each terminal. You do not need to remove the positive battery cable. For most procedures, if you just want to kill power to the car, always take off the negative terminal first. So we're going to go ahead, get a 10 millimeter socket, just loosen it a bit, and then take it out. So just give it a couple turns, then wiggle it to make sure it's off, disconnect it. I like to take it and tuck it down into the battery box, because sometimes sometimes it could, because of the curvature of the wire, if you just leave it laying down just anywhere back here, sometimes it'll work its way back through inertia or the tension inside the cable. It'll work its way back to its natural position, make connection with the battery. You will probably be in the car doing something, and then before you know it, you can either cause an electrical short, damaging the ECU, or some other circuit board somewhere, or like I said, possibly triggering the airbags to deploy either when you go to disconnect the airbags or to reconnect the airbags. So you just want to be careful of that. All right, so we're all set back here. So to check to make sure that the power from the vehicle is all gone, you can open the door, check the interior lights. If they don't come on, you know, push something, whatever. Verify that there's no electricity going through the car. Now we can come back here and, okay, so these are, I believe, 10 millimeter bolts. There's 3 of them holding the airbag in place. So we'll go ahead and get that off. Now for me, guys, I just love power tools, you know, impact tools, stuff like that. Now, on a lot of this stuff, you don't necessarily need impact tools. It just makes the process go by a lot faster and a lot easier. And there we go. Okay, so let's go ahead and remove that. Now we have the safety connector, which is not hard to do. It is just, hang on. Actually, I like to disconnect it from the inside of the door. And you could just take the airbag, put it back right there like so, just to make sure that you don't lose it. You don't have to really disconnect the wire, because like I said, this stuff is very sensitive. Even something as low as like a static current will set it off, or can potentially set it off. So you don't want to have that happen when you're in close proximity or when you're handling this thing. So you just want to be safe as possible, guys. Okay, so our next step now is we have to go ahead, reconnect the master window switch so that we could make the window go up just a little bit. So to do that, we'll have to reconnect the battery. So we'll roll the window up all the way. Take the key back out. And then we have to disconnect the battery again. All right, so here we are. Now, our next step is we want to disconnect the door carrier. It's kind of hard to get you guys a shot of up there, but the door carrier is right in here. You can see it there. So let me go ahead and grab some tools and then try to get this bad boy out of here. All right, guys. So next step is very important. This little plastic cap here, we got to go ahead and pop that off. And behind that is an e-Torx that holds the carrier, helps hold the carrier to the door, as well as this little plastic cover piece here. So we're going to go ahead, grab us some tools to take that off, along with a pick, maybe. Yep. Small screwdriver. And guys, having, you know, little small screwdrivers and stuff like this when you're doing like interior work really helps. So just pry that off with there. Let's take a look inside. So we'll take an Allen, and this is a 4mm Allen key that we're going to use to go ahead and sneak up inside of here. And you guys could probably barely see that Allen head bolt. So we're going to use this. It's a 4mm, guys, and we're going to take that out. Your lock mechanism just slides right out. So put that to the side. And now we're here. So now we're going to bring you guys back to the outside. And this is what you're going to be left with. So the carrier is pretty easy to take off from this point. So this is an 8mm. I'm going to go ahead and grab one of those. Sometimes you want to be careful because these corrode over time. They can seize in place. And this, I don't know what kind of, maybe kind of, you know, low grade iron or some type of aluminum, whatever this kind of metal is, maybe some kind of, you know, alloy composite that's not really the highest strength. So these tend to break off easily. So you just want to be careful. So we're going to go ahead and get some penetrating oil just to loosen this up a little bit. Then we'll take it off. All right, guys. So once you loosen the bolt, you don't really have to take it all the way off. This thing just comes down, then it turns, and the whole thing will come right out of the carrier, the handle, okay? So this handle has to kind of pivot down, and the whole thing will slide right out. Try not to fight with this handle because they're plastic, they're very expensive. I think, you know, they're ridiculously expensive. You know, just for a little plastic piece like this. So once you got that out, then we can move on to the next step. Okay. So the next step, once you have the handle off, is this little Phillips head screw, and this holds the, I need two hands, but we're gonna go ahead and undo this screw, and then that holds the carrier to the other side of the door. So let's go ahead and do that. And there's the screw. Okay, so just put that with everything else. And now the carrier should be able to come free. And once it does, just come back inside here. And there it is, guys. There it is in all of its broken glory. So let's see if we can find just exactly where this one broke. Yep. So I don't know how well. There it is. That should not be like that. So that's why it's broken, right? And usually what happens is they usually snap right here where this little piece actually goes over. See if you guys can see that. See, so it goes over this little rod. That's what it rides on. So each time you pull on the door handle, which is connected here and here, when you pull on the door handle, it actuates up like this and the door unlocks. But like I said, I think this is some type of aluminum, maybe, could be something else. But, you know, in these areas where it's really thin, they tend to break. And then once it does, the door won't open from the outside. So we'll go ahead, get our new part, install our new part, put everything back together, and then check to see if it works. All right, guys, so another key tip is whenever you get your new part, this is our new part, you always want to, before you go ahead and install it, you want to take it and compare it to the old part. Make sure that it's the right one, you know, make sure that all your mounting points all line up. A lot of times these parts, they'll have part numbers engraved on the part itself. This one actually does, so you want to compare the part numbers, make sure those match. Then once they do, you go ahead and install it. It's kind of difficult to show you guys in this little small access point, but when you're working on your own car at home, you know, your own e53 X5, you'll see it, and you know, it's not that complex inside. Right, so we'll go ahead, get this guy all lined up. Now, guys, I don't know, let's see if we could get a light in here. But see right there, right down there where the light is, there is a little ball that thing has to snap over. And when it's dry, it could be a real beast to get on there. So what we're gonna do is just take a little bit of, you know, lubricant, spray it on that ball, and that will help it to slide on and lock onto there. Because so what will happen is, you know, if you don't get that little ball locked on, it will slip off, and you know, it would really not be good. It wouldn't be good if it slips off after you put everything back together, close the door, then you go to open the thing and it doesn't work. So that's not, just to avoid that, try to make sure that that thing actually locks on. Okay, so now we're in the reassembly process. Like I said, you know, make sure you put everything back. This piece, real easy to put back. It just slides in. See, it has like a T, you know, yeah, T type end. So it just really just slides in, and that's just for the lock mechanism so it can turn. Make sure you put it in the right way, the right orientation. And that it actually goes back into, there's a little slot there. So just make sure it goes back into that little slot. And then you also get new hardware with this, so we'll go ahead and put this in. And then that's it, guys. So now, see, heard? Thing popped off. That same little tab thing I said, let's see if it's it. Yep. So it did snap on the first time. So see what I mean, guys? You always want to check this stuff before you go ahead and put it all back together. Because if you do put it all back together and it's not on there, it doesn't lock into place, then it's not going to be. There we go. Okay, let's see if that worked. Okay. All right, guys. I think that did it. So what I ended up doing for this, let me show you guys again. So for this little, you know, that little black ball there, it clips over the other ball, but to get some leverage, I just took a pair of small vice grips, you know, slid it over there, and then clamp the two pieces together. Make sure this is not too close together because you'll end up crushing that little ball, and you don't want to do that. Okay, so now we're all back together. We have our little bolt in here, all nice and snug. And guys, remember, you know, this is just a exterior body piece, so you don't need to go He-Man strength on the fasteners, because you'll end up either damaging them or breaking them, and you don't want to do that because, like I said, especially for a foreign car, these things are kind of pricey, so you just don't want to do that. Okay, so now what we'll do is we're just going to go ahead, reverse the process. But before we do, we want to check it, make sure everything is working the way it should. So our first step is just take our airbag, definitely want to do this, and just remount it. Wait a minute. There you go. Like I said, guys, you don't want to go He-Man strength on these little small fasteners. If you're going to use a torque gun just to drive them down, that's all I did, just drove the fastener down. Once it's down, then you take a small, ratchet, and you can just snug them down. For all you torque spec freaks out there, leave your comments down in the comment section below. Just have at it. But like I said, for the airbag, you do not need to go He-Man strength on these fasteners. A good snug down with the hand, mostly wrist. Make sure they are locked in there. Then that's it. You're all set. So we'll go ahead, disconnect our window switch. And this is just for testing purposes, guys. So before you go ahead, put the door card back on, put everything back together, what you want to do, make sure this thing is make sure this thing is working the way it should. Just give the door a close a couple times to make sure it opens. Nice. All right, and that's it. There you go, guys. So brand new door carriers in. So checking it from the outside. Also, these things, they're supposed to line up. So make sure that the handle does line up. It does become flush. Make sure it's not, make sure it's flush with the little rubber gaskets that's behind there. So when you open the door, close it, everything should sound nice and solid. You shouldn't be hearing any rattles. Okay, so that's it for this episode, guys. It's real simple. Put the door card back, make up all your connections, and then you're off to the races, back on road again. All right, thanks for watching, guys. Good luck. Hopefully this video helped you guys if you have a broken door handle or door handles that don't work. I don't know what the rates are in shops. depending on what shop you go to do this repair. But some shops, they are a little pricey. So, but the carrier itself doesn't really cost that much. You'll probably spend maybe an hour or two taking everything apart, getting the old carrier out, putting a new carrier in, and then just like that, you'll be working again. Oh, oops. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Good luck out there. Stay tuned for more videos. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And see you guys in the next episode. Okay, bye.